Reading is going to play a critical part in how we all come together and make the future a better one. And I think right now specifically, we need more of us thinking about what else is possible. I just want to talk about why it's so important to be reading right now and to really be trying to improve our attention spans again, to focus on more complex, long texts. I was actually going to make a different video this week, a very different video, talking about my reread of Wuthering Heights and my thoughts on film adaptations, as well as my thoughts on Emerald Fennell, who is doing the new adaptation of Wuthering Heights' previous movies, in context of how I'm thinking about it. And going into it, I think there are going to be a lot of analysis of the movie after it comes out. So I just want to do a quick one before about my experience rereading the novel and what I think the movie might be like. But we're going to save that for next week because with everything that's been going on in the world, there's something else that I think is more important to talk about right now. And that is kind of related to the why reading can help you through heartbreak video I did a few weeks ago. I think that reading is really essential right now. I think it's always been essential. I think it always will be essential. But right now it feels critical in a different sort of way. There have been a lot of articles written lately and headlines I've been seeing about the decline of literacy and how this is largely tied to people's declining attention spans. And I think, as a lot of us know, reading is just so central to learning and understanding the world around us. In particularly hard times, it can be a really useful skill, not only to help us cope, but to build and foster community and have context for the hard things that are going on. Now, with this video, I'm not going to give a list of books that I think people should read. I think that there are people far smarter than me giving recommendations online related to a variety of topics. I'm taking recommendations from those people. I think that it is personal and tailored to where you feel like you can make an impact and where your interests lie, what you should be reading right now. I just want to talk about why it's so important to be reading right now and to really be trying to improve our attention spans again, to focus on more complex, long texts. Reading is going to play a critical part in how we all come together and make the future a better one. So I just want to talk about a few of the points why, and this will probably be a pretty short video. For me, it's always just a good refresher, though, to get back to the why. There have been so many moments when the world has felt heavy, and there will be in the future again. So this, I see, is just a skill that you can return to over and over, whether you are facing a personal problem or something larger is happening that's affecting all of us. I think it's grounding and informative, and something I talk about a lot is the fact that stories are how we as humans make sense of the world. So whether that is a true story or fiction, I think that it can really be useful. And I just want to keep driving home the importance of that. I'm always trying to spread a love of reading to the people around me. I think if you're here, you're already a book lover. But again, this is a reminder for me as much as anybody else to go through the reasons why and just really dedicate time and energy to reading this year with a real purpose behind it. So first, I think that it can give us historical perspective, and when things are happening in the moment, especially what's been going on right now in the United States, it is very acute and it can feel really overwhelming, honestly, on a day-to-day basis. So I think that that perspective of how hard things have been in the past and how other people have gotten out of those situations and dealt with them can be really helpful. So let's talk a little bit about how specifically reading can help us solve our problems or see a way forward when things are really rough or we just feel stuck in any sort of situation on our own, with a partner, or collectively. So for one, reading shows us multiple pathways forward. It breaks us out of whatever narrative we already have in our mind and shows us different perspectives so we can see the problem from different angles and maybe spend less time stuck and more time moving forward. So we move from a frame of how do I fix this and fixating on that and getting stuck in an anxiety loop around that to a state of mind where we're thinking, what else is possible? And I think right now specifically, we need more of us thinking about what else is possible and acting on that. What else could happen here? What else could things evolve into in a good way? What can I do personally to participate in making that happen and bringing forward that better future for us all? Reading also gives us the space to rehearse what those actions might look like in our minds without real world consequences. So we can think things through with the new possibilities that are shown to us before we act on them, or see how they played out for somebody else before we act on them that way. When reading fiction, you get placed in different scenarios while you're following a character where you can think to yourself, what would I do in this situation versus what they did or what they're thinking about doing? How does that play out for them? Would my way have really been better? That goes into that problem-solving, critical thinking muscle that we're also developing as we read. Like running drills in your mind for situations that you haven't faced yet. And then if you ever do come up against something similar, you have that already in your mind as a point of reference. Reading also externalizes all of the chaos so you can see clearer. Stories have structure. There's inciting incidents, rising action, and resolutions. That can be part of helping our brain to slow down and calm down and think things through differently. Even though real life doesn't have structure like that, it helps us see it in a narrative perspective, find ourselves and our communities within it to think through the problems in a different way. And I'm not talking about, oh, everything will be fine, I just have to wait it out, and like toxic positivity or anything like that. I'm talking about like orienting yourself and getting grounded and being able to see things with perspective so that you can act in the best way possible or come up with new ideas more easily. Reading also gives us language for what we're experiencing. It's hard to make a change or even identify a problem correctly if you can't name it. Books help us to name things. And I'm sure a lot of you are thinking of the exact same thing I am right now as I'm saying that. Like the moment we're all living through. There are some parallels, and reading about those parallels, I think, can be helpful for a lot of us right now. And again, not about just, oh, things will be fine, but reading does help us see that other people have been through similar things, and it shows us how they got out of it and how they fixed it. That's the important thing. Having a different point of reference for how it's been done before is critical, right? We don't have to come up with everything in a vacuum or in isolation. We can seek wisdom elsewhere in books. And I do really think that distance reading gives us to just take space and reflect and have these thoughts and analyze them critically on our own and then bring them to a group or act on them is really, really important on a daily basis and throughout life. So some of you might have seen I made a video about reading to help heal and get through heartbreak. I see this very similarly. You could probably watch that video and get some things too about why it's so important right now when the world just feels really hard. Collectively, we're going through a lot. And I'm sure this is true for a lot of you. It's definitely true for me. Books have been a foundational piece of what has gotten me through every difficult time in my life. There are so many examples of the ways they've gotten people throughout history through really hard times, and then they've written about that. So I think that seeking wisdom there can just be a good starting point. The situation might be different. The long-term perspective is important. Reading also slows us down when we're feeling highly reactive, when things feel chaotic. It gives us something to ground into and orient our attention towards in a helpful way. It's also, as I've mentioned before, a great counter activity to doom scrolling. I get stuck in doom scrolling all the time. After about 10-15 minutes of getting filled in on what's going on there, and then maybe reading the news, it's important to stay informed. I'm not saying not to, but ruminating and staying there and staying stuck there, it always makes me feel worse. And reading is a great way to break out of that. Something to do, somewhere to direct your mind that is growth-oriented and helpful instead of ruminating. Stories also give us a good frame of reference for the fact that other people have gone through really, really difficult things before and gotten through. It gives us hope and empathy and proof that we can find our way out and fix things, and things will eventually get better, while giving some direction of how to get there. So again, it activates empathy and future thinking and gives us somewhere to place our energy and attention that will help move us forward. I actually wrote a Substack last year, right after the election, about things to read when a storm is coming, and I'm updating it and just posted it today with some suggestions for podcasts, articles, and books that I personally like. Getting our attention back on critical thinking and focusing on long texts and doing that work is really essential and important right now and always. So I guess making this video, it ties into what I talked about last week about building a reading practice. It's a reminder, and again, it's a reminder for me as much as anyone, just why it's so important, and I think foundational to a happy life in a lot of ways. It's a practice that can bring you hope in dark times and a lot of joy in those dark times too, and when things are good. And I think book clubs and connecting with other people about books and talking about ideas and our interests is such a great way to connect with one another, which is something else that I know that we are all needing more of in the world these days. Reading just gives us so many foundational things that are integral to a happy life, right? Empathy, connection with others, our critical thinking skills, building our vocabulary to enhance our conversational skills to, again, connect with others. It gives us an opportunity to build our logic and reasoning as we're thinking through ideas that are presented to us in a long form format. We can be thinking through whether or not we agree or disagree. Building up our opinions and values that way can reduce our stress and therefore improve our overall well-being, can help make us better writers, so again, we can share ideas with others, and helps us be proactive in solving our life problems and the problems we see around us. We read stories, things that people have gone through in the past, and more possibilities and solves to those problems are opened up to us in our minds and available for future use and reference. There's a whole video that I'd like to do about the science behind what happens in your brain when you are reading. I've read a few really cool articles about that. I'm not going to get into it right now. I just wanted to come on here and talk about how important I think it is right now, how helpful I think it would be if we all just read more this year. Just take the time to slow down, be with yourself and your thoughts, have discussions with community, maybe reading some similar books, and just try to figure out where we go from here. I don't have a lot of answers. I'm heartbroken about most of what I see happening, and I don't have answers. Again, I am hoping that through reading and showing up here and maybe just helping to remind myself and everyone else why reading matters so much, maybe that can be of use and helpful in some way. But I do know it's one thing that we can all do, and I think there's a lot of hope there. If you want to share what you're reading right now or books that have been helpful to you or that you think would be helpful in the comments, that would be awesome. If you like talking about books and stories and why they matter and how they impact culture and the world around us, then hit like on this video to support what I'm trying to do. Subscribe. I'll have another video next week. I'll talk about my reread of Wuthering Heights and what I think of the book, reading it for the first time since I was in high school, like almost 20 years ago now, which is crazy. and the upcoming movie, and Emerald Fennell's work. I actually am a really big fan of hers. I'm excited to get into some more in-depth analysis of one specific text. Try that out, see if you all like it. But yeah, in the meantime, let's try to read more this year. Make it a priority. I'm going to. I think I need it. I think we could all use insight from outside sources right now. And again, I updated my Substack post with some new things that I've been liking to read right now that I have found helpful if you do want some suggestions. But again, I think just reading anything that's calling to you right now is what's the most important thing, just to be reading. Thanks for being here.